Hey guys, what is up? It is Terensu here. So a friend of mine in the local FGC Discord sent me the latest patch notes for Street Fighter V. Now I don't play Street Fighter V. I've never been a big Street Fighter fan. I've tried to get into Street Fighter V on several occasions. It's just not my cup of tea. For the most part, 2D that isn't Mortal Kombat isn't. The only 2D game I really liked competitively was Daraku Tenchi. I guess I played a few KOF matches back in the day, never a tournament, anything like that. But he sent me this Street Fighter patch notes, and he said that they put Tekken's patch notes to shame, and I kind of agree with him. And I just wanted to take a quick comparison piece here and kind of look at this. So at the beginning, they have their all fighter changes. So these are like system changes, okay? And you can see here it says they've added a new V-shift system. I believe that has to do with supers in Street Fighter V. It's kind of like a super mechanic of some kind. Again, you can correct me in the comments. But they explain the mechanic, they explain what it does. I mean, they're adding brand new mechanics. Goodness, hopefully they'll explain what it is. And they kind of explain it. But I also want to talk about these other changes. I mean, they're just massive changes. And Street Fighter V has been in the game a long time at this point. And they're making major changes to make the game better. Not just balance adjustments, not just, tiny little tweaks or adding more health. This is actual honest-to-goodness new mechanics and systems. Now, Tekken is pretty solid system-wise. It doesn't need a whole lot. Things like the My Replay and Tips were an excellent addition, so I'll give credit where credit is due. But I just want you to look at the detail here. And like explanations, adjustments to anti-air properties of grounded normal attacks. And they go into not only what they have done, but why they have done it. And I think this is excellent. And like if we go over to the Tekken one here, these are the shared changes. So you look at this puny little section here, and then we get started with character changes, and you have this versus all this. This is just the system changes for this latest patch. Now, given this is a big patch, but this was the Season 4, so this was a big patch for Tekken as well. And they basically have just kind of told you things, which given most of this is simple, and it doesn't need a big explanation. Like life gauge, change from 170 to 175. Wall hit scaling, change from 90 to 80. You don't really need a big breakdown of that, but it would be nice if at the top they maybe explained like, why they thought we needed more health. Really, I haven't noticed that big of a difference in gameplay since the new health. In fact, it's made me kind of angrier because combos that previously would have killed don't. But the opponent is still left with such little health, and Tekken is such a big bombastic just swing game that it really doesn't even matter at the end. But just the care that the Street Fighter V team has put into this patch kind of dwarfs what the Tekken team has done here. Alright, and let's look at a character. Let's just look at good old Ryu. This is Street Fighter's bread and butter. He's like the Mishimas of Street Fighter, only easier to play than a Mishima. And look at this. They have a balance change overview here. I love this. I know that it's asking Namco a lot to do this, but I absolutely love it. This is amazing. So let's read a little bit of this here. Ryu's crush counters and V-triggers have made it difficult for him to keep up pressure and have limited his offensive options. However, other standard characters like Ken and Akuma have this aspect to their playstyles, so we haven't made significant alterations. Instead, we have focused on improving his overall performance, giving him more offensive options, and stabilizing his playstyle. As a result, he can now deal damage more reliably. Compared to other characters, Ryu had harder combos to confirm and relatively strict wake-up pressure options. To combat this, we've adjusted his combos, and then they go into a bit of a breakdown on his moves and why they fixed them. Now, I get it. Street Fighter, every character has a lot less moves than they do in Tekken. So I don't know if it's necessarily feasible for the Tekken team to go into a breakdown on like every move they changed. But then again, maybe it is, because you only change like the most significant moves. Like these legacy characters with hundreds of moves, you're not going to be touching all of those because some of them aren't even relevant. There are characters out there with moves they've had since Tekken 1 that probably just don't ever get touched because no one uses them. Maybe pulls them out of the hat once every 100 matches or something in a rare situation. But let's go over to the Tekken example. So this is Paul's changes. Change damage from 20 to 15. Okay. Change the frame advantage when blocked. Okay. And I mean, that's pretty decent for a Tekken team, but look at some of this. Decrease the distance between the character and the opponent when the move is blocked. Well, how much did you decrease it? Why did you need to decrease it? Was it causing more combos that you didn't intend? Was it making combos harder? Was it making the attack punishable and you didn't want it to be punishable? We have no real idea what you want these characters to do and how you want them to be played. Now, obviously in Tekken, I feel like the community has just kind of decided over time. Like if you go and you ask, what kind of character is Paul? And they'll say, well, Paul, he has Phoenix Smasher, so he's really dedicated to punishment, and then mix up with Demo Man, that's kind of his character archetype. And if you go to somebody like Elisa, they'll say, well, she's a tricky character. She's supposed to try to poke and confuse and annoy the opponent into making mistakes. We don't really know what Namco intended for any of these characters because they don't tell us. I mean, we can just look at this. You know, this is the same. This is just like a key, like a key on a map right here. This is the same for every character. So this doesn't tell you anything about the changes. It's just repeated ad nauseum with every character. And everyone is like this. It's just, here's what we did. You know, no reasoning, no in-depth analysis of this. No, we want this character to be this, and we changed it because we feel this way. Imagine if we had patch notes like this when they came out with the tracking hell sweep. All right, imagine. I would be very interested to see what their reasoning was for doing that. Obviously, they thought the character had a weakness they needed to cover, but it would have been very interesting to see why. Because maybe we're missing something. You know, maybe we don't understand something about the game because it's their game, they make it. They should kind of know how these characters work, right? Do they? Hopefully so. But, yeah, just look at this. Look at this. Hadoken and standing high kick have a lot of use at mid-range and have been improved, allowing them to better control the opponent from that range. You know, that's wonderful. You know, you don't even have to agree with this, but you can understand why they did it. And I feel like that makes the medicine easier to go down. Like if your character gets nerfed, you know, they'll say this move allowed you to lock down opponents and it made the match more boring because of X, Y, Z, and it was an unfair advantage, so we had to tone it down. I think people could understand that a little better. But you know, somebody like Lee, who just gets screwed over every patch, and they'll just like, you know, buff his unblockable and then go nerf one of his main tools for no reason. It's like, and you know, at the same time, Devil Jin gets a bunch of buffs. Did they really need that? Did we really need to take this away? Explain the reasoning here. Because again, maybe we don't understand something. You know, we have no window into the mindset of the Tekken development team as to what the goal is with balancing, what they want each character to be. I mean, it's just depressing reading this. And sometimes these changes have like multiple bullet points of things that they changed about them. And then there's an explanation every time telling you why they changed it, what their goal was. I mean, like this, the change to, I don't know what CA is in Street Fighter language. The change to CA cancel timing for Sonic Boom was made to prevent a super cancel after a KO at close range, unintentionally consuming the gauge. I mean, they made a system change to keep you from screwing around and losing a gauge unintentionally. That's great. You know, that's wonderful stuff. And I'm sure the Tekken team does stuff like this for us all the time, but they don't tell us. So when we see these tone-deaf patch notes that just say, oh, we made this change, or we fixed a bug with this move, we don't know what you're doing. We have no idea. And so it gets very frustrating. I feel like Namco, you know, I don't think they're as bad as like the community. Like if you go on Reddit and there's the people that just like want to burn them to the ground because they think they're terrible with communication. They kind of are. I guess Tekken is really the only fighting game scene I'm in right now. So if Capcom is communicating like this all the time, then yeah, Tekken Namco definitely has bad communication. And I think most people would understand, like, we don't expect Kunimitsu to release and then the new character to come out like the next day. We don't expect that. That's not reasonable. But when you just release Season 4 and then you go radio silence until you're ready to release the next patch and then go radio silence again, people start to get frustrated. I do see a little bit more of the NetherRealm community, and I think NetherRealm is very similar. They tend to drop big content and then just go radio silence between patches. You don't ever hear anything. And that's very frustrating to the fans. Now, obviously, you don't want to tell people you're done releasing content for your game because they'll quit playing it. I get that. But there needs to be some line of communication. And I don't even know that Capcom's doing a good job, but I do know what they are doing a good job at is these patch notes. And I hope that Namco and Harada and Murray will do this in the future. I know it's more work. I understand that. It's a 5-plus-year-old game. But at this point, when you're going to support Tekken, you're saying, no Tekken 8. We're going to keep supporting Tekken 7 with more content and patches. It is our game for the time being, especially in the day of COVID. I think you have to put more effort into your one game. You can't just drop a broken character and then disappear radio silence for the next few months. You got to have effort. And redoing your patch notes to look like this and providing direction, clear, followable direction for the characters, I think would be a great start. And then maybe more communication in between releases. Anyway, guys, what do you think about Tekken and Namco's patch notes? Are they doing a great job? Are they doing a bad job? Are you a member of the Street Fighter V community and this is just me thinking the grass is greener on the other side? Let me know what you think below. I'd be very interested to hear your opinion. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.